Hi friends! Welcome to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Katelyn and I like to film eyeshadow palette ranking and review videos, as well as the occasional other content sprinkled in. So if you like indie makeup, if you like eyeshadow palettes, if you like me, I highly recommend that you hit that subscribe button because I post 2 videos every single week. And for those of you that are not new here, my face is happy that you are seeing it again. And today we are ranking every eyeshadow palette that I used in the month of April. I believe... Hold on. If I can count correctly, there are 11 palettes for the month of April. I really didn't do my makeup all that much in April. I did it, let's see, did my makeup a total of 13 times and used 11 different palettes. So some of it was testing new stuff. Some of it was, I did a look one day where I just used eyeliner and nothing else. So anyways, I am still working up to doing my makeup more often, but we're not quite there yet. But anyways, yeah, all that to say, let's go ahead and get on into it. Business to attend to first. First things first, any palette that I have an affiliate code with the brand, I will put the affiliate code in on the screen if I remember. If I don't, all of my affiliate codes are down in the description box, and then every link that is affiliated will have a little asterisk next to it in the description box as well. I link all of the palettes, whether they're affiliated links or not, because some palettes I don't have affiliate links for, but I still want to make it easier for you to shop if you want to pick the palette up. And that's all in the description box. In the description box, you can also find videos that feature the palette. So if there's a look that I did where I have the video already up on my channel, you can find that down below. Sometimes I post videos with looks after this video. Anyways, long story short, check out the description box if you have any questions. And if it's not answered in the description box, leave me a comment. And okay, let's get started. So as always, I rank my palettes in a different way. I have 4 different categories. The first category is if something were to happen to the palette and it left my collection, I wouldn't be that sad about it. I'd be like, you'll win some, you'll lose some, you know? And then next category are palettes that I like. The category after that are palettes that I love. And the category after that are palettes that I consider holy grail palettes. Like, I need these palettes in my life. If something were to happen to it, I would immediately repurchase it. If I used it up, like that is a palette that I need to have in my collection. So that is that. We do have 1 palette in the first category. So this is a palette that I would not be upset about if I left my collection, and it's the Byredo Mineralscapes palette. I have never tried Byredo. I was warned, and yeah, it's okay. It's fine. You know, like it's not that there's a quality issue on this. It's just the type of shadows that these shadows are not my type of shadow. So like, I could definitely see myself pulling this out for a work look if I wanted to have something that's more subtle, not quite as bright as like what I'm wearing right now. But it just doesn't get me going. So, and I have plenty of palettes that I can use for work looks that I could create more subtle looks with, but I could also like amp up the shimmers a little bit. I feel like these shimmers aren't ampable. So that is why that one is there. And that is a new palette that I purchased for the month of April. So not off to a great start. Okay, next category are palettes that I like. And I like them. And that's kind of it. There may be reasons that I don't quite love them, and I will share those reasons with you. So first up, we have the Melt Cosmetics Smoke Sessions 2 palette. This is the second palette that I purchased for the month of April. So again, really not off to an awesome start on what I purchased in April. But anyways, here's the inside of the palette. I do really like this palette, and I really like the color store, like the like electric of the purples versus like just a wearable monochromatic purple palette. But so I like it, but it's just a monochromatic purple palette, and I feel like there's some shades that are a little too similar to each other. Like we could have had a little bit more variety in there, like an iridescent like blue purple might have been fun. But anyways, I like it. It's fine. It's just not my favorite. Next up, we have the Divaroon Cosmetics Gloomy Gardens palette. And I don't know why, but every time I reach for this palette, I'm just like, not... Like, the first look I did, I really loved. And every time I've reached for it since, I guess I've just paired it with other palettes. Maybe that's the problem. I think I need to play with this by itself. And then also, I keep saying this, but I want to pair it with my Celestial Garden palette if that palette has not left my house yet. I still haven't looked for it. But anyways, because I decluttered that one, but technically I have like a declutter bin where I keep palettes until I'm like officially ready to send them on their way, just in case I want them back. I think that Celestial Garden is in there. Maybe. I could be wrong. If it's not, oh well. Next up, we have the Viseart Paris Reverie Étendue palette. I was gifted this palette in PR. It is absolutely adorable. I like this palette a lot. It's like a neutral, like springy neutral palette with some pops of like a pop of like peach and purple. I think it's really pretty. These are the kinds of neutrals that I love. Definitely something that I could see myself reaching for just for like a wearable look, especially for work and things like that. So I like this a lot. It's just not a love because this isn't something that I reach for often, but I will say these tones on my skin tone and also when I had a spray tan, they look really nice for my complexion. So for me, I'm like, I could see myself pulling that one out. I'll like, if I needed to go on like a work trip or something, like I could just see that being a go-to for me. Next up, we have the Lunar Beauty Moonshroom palette. I really like this color story. My issue is that there is not a light enough shimmer in here. And so it prevents me from loving this palette because every time I go to use it, you can really just do like a smoky look. I mean, unless you use this gold, but even that, I want something lighter. And it's just not quite light enough, but I can pair it with other palettes and still enjoy it. So I'm not upset to have it in my collection, but you know, it's just not perfect. Next up are palettes that I love. So I love these. Probably minimal to no issues on them. Everything from here on out is pretty much personal preference or the amount of times I could see myself reaching for it. Anyways, we have the Unearthly Cosmetics. This is the #1 Balance eyeshadow palette from their Artistry palette collection. Here's what the inside of the palette looks like. You have pretty much all you could need with like neutrals, right? You got like some cool tone browns, warm tone browns, true neutral browns, grays, and purples. So definitely a really good neutral palette. I really want their new one that they came out with. I'm waiting for a month where I don't purchase 3 palettes and I'm gonna try and pick up that one. Or I'm waiting for they do a good Black Friday sale, I feel like, so I might wait for that. They just had all their palettes 20% off. I debated getting it then, but I bought all of my 3 palettes for April, so couldn't do it, but we'll see. Anyways, I love this palette. I think it's really a good, like, I find myself anytime I'm like, oh, I need to do a neutral crease, like, this is so easy to use. I don't know why I closed it already. I just like the ability to go straight down the row and create like a really simple, easy crease and then put a multi-chrome on the lid. It's just match made in heaven. Love that. Or if I just want a neutral matte look, it's one of my go-tos as well for that. Next up, we have the Unearthly Cosmetics Charmer palette. This was in their Valentine's Day mystery box. Here's the inside of the palette. I wish there was this one shimmer was different just because I feel like it's a little too similar to these other 2 purple shimmers. So if this was like, I don't know, what, like just maybe like a dark green shimmer or I don't know, something just slightly different. I feel like this would be a Holy Grail palette, but just because I feel like we just leaned super purple on this. But I really do love this palette. I love the looks that I created with it. So even though I wish one shade were different, I still think it's a good palette. Next up, we have the Adept Cosmetics Cyborg Choir palette. And I don't know if I mentioned the Viseart Paris Reverie palette. That was new to me for the month of April, but I said it was gifted in PR, but I don't know that I said it was new. Anyways, so those were the 3 new palettes. So we have one more new palette. We're not there yet, but just to say. Okay, Adept Cosmetics Cyborg Choir is the next one. I really like this palette a lot. I think it's fun. This is actually the palette that I keep pairing with the Esom palette. I just do like a neutral crease and then I grab one of these shimmers just because I think it's super pretty. I do think you can get completed looks with this. I think the matte choices are really nice. I just find that for me, for some reason, give me like a warm brown crease with a multi-chrome. I don't know. Nothing beats it for me. That's like a go-to for me. So anyways, last palette that we have as far as new palettes for the month of April is the BellaBeauteBar Secret Garden palette. And I was tempted to put this in the Holy Grail palettes because I really freaking like this, but I've only used it twice and that felt aggressive. Felt like I was moving too fast. So we're pumping the brakes, but I am putting it at the top of the loves category because it's borderline Holy Grail favorite. I really like this. It is actually what is on my eyes today. I don't know if that surprises you when you look at the color story, but anyways, I really like this palette. I think it's beautiful and yeah, I have zero issues with it so far. I think it's perfect in every way. So it's probably, you'll probably, if I continue to use it, you'll probably see it jump up into Holy Grail status. I would not be surprised. Just to give more context on why I think it will, is because you have the neutrals up here, you have gorgeous multi-chromes that you can pair with these neutrals, which I just told you was my favorite look, or you have one of my favorite color combos, which is pink and green. So yeah, 10s across the board. Love it. Last two palettes are in the Holy Grail favorites category, and one I believe, I don't think I've put it in Holy Grail favorite until now. The Ensley Rain Groovy Garden palette. I just love this. I just told you pink and green is my favorite. This is like pink and green, but on the neutral side of it, and I really, really love how these mattes perform. I think the shimmers are nice. Like, honestly, I could take or leave the shimmers. Like, I really think this matte color story is it for me. The shimmers are nice to be able to add a little something something, but like when I've played with it just using like the mattes pretty much, I'm like, gorgeous, love it, stunning. So yeah, I really like this. I consider it a Holy Grail favorite. I could see myself continuing to reach for it. It would be a palette that I would need to have in my collection for sure. Next up, the number one for the month of April, the Groundwork 2 Blooming Romance palette. I love these. I love these palettes. I love using this for blush. I wore I think my Secret Garden video should be up, my first impressions video. Had like a reddish wig. I used this shade here to do my brows, like between this one, and I used Defining Neutrals today to do my brows. Like, no matter what wig I'm wearing, I can create the brow color I need to between the two palettes. I just love this. It's so pretty, and these work so well on the lid. I just think they're amazing in every way, both the first one and the second one, but that one in particular, that's why it's number one for this month. But that was it, and super fast. I know, that was like speed round ranking. So hopefully you all enjoyed that. I usually like to also mention which palette I used the most in the month, just so you could see how it relates to like what I'm saying is my favorite versus what I'm actually reaching for. So the palette I used the most in the month of April is actually Cyborg Choir. I reached for it 3 times. So that was this one from Adept. And then let's see, there was a 3-way tie between these 3 palettes. I used each of these twice. I used the BellaBeauteBar Secret Garden palette technically once in the month of April. I'm filming this May 2nd, and I used it for the second time today. So anyways, that one only got used once. I just wanted to clarify since I know I mentioned I used it twice, but these were the other 3 palettes that I used twice in the month of April. Everything else I just reached for 1 time in the month. And that's it. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, if there's any palettes that I ranked high that you were like, no, I didn't like that, or if I ranked anything low that you're like, oh my gosh, I love it. It's harder when you do like less, like when I rank, I have like 20 to 30 palettes that I'm ranking, and I feel like that's easier to have things shake out where they're supposed to go. When you only have 11, there's something that could be ranked in the 10th spot that you're like, no, actually I really like that. And if I ranked 30 palettes, it probably would have fallen in the middle, but it looks like towards the bottom. Anyways, whatever. I'll see you all next time. Bye.